Alright, I'm just trying to put this up here, and that's it. Okay, so hi everybody, welcome back to our series of conferences from the knowledge of oneself. We're currently in conference number 22 from the phase A cycle of pre-conferences, in which we are talking about different aspects and topics regarding the inner work or the spiritual liberation of the consciousness, right? Okay, so we're gonna first wait for some minutes and see if more people are coming up, and to see when they receive the notifications from the Facebook file, and then we can start. Again, just to remind all of you, if you're new and this is the first time you're attending to this set of conferences, we are also dealing with different aspects of the internal work. In these conferences, we're also talking about things like astral projection. We're talking about what is death, the real teachings are like the significance of death, the secrets of death. We're also talking about different energetic centers that we have within our physical body, which are not the chakras, which are different. And we're also talking about other very important aspects, like the protection of our own selves, energetic, with energetic, let's say, like conjurations to protect ourselves, and many more topics, which you will find in our video section here in this Facebook fan page of the Knowledge of Oneself English, as well as the YouTube channel, which has the same name, and you will find it with the same name. All right, so see, we can. Okay, if you have questions, comments, or any other doubts or anything that you want to share, you can write it in the comment section, and at the end we will be looking forward to reply to you. Right, so I think we can start now. So today we're talking about meditation. I know nowadays people are feeling or like having this urge or feeling of connecting more with their let's say with the spiritual part of themselves, right? And many people are practicing meditation, but there are many types of meditations, as you may know, and their purposes may vary as well. What we're dealing here is with a type of meditation which is more focused on the transcendental path, or we'd say more of like a liberation path, right? Not just merely regarding a relaxation or just to remove stress from our mind or our body. That is very important as well. I'm not saying it is not, but it's not the main purpose of this. We'll be teaching here a type of meditation which is more regarding the reflection. It's more introspective, and you'll see what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's start. Turning the camera on. Okay. All right, so it is said that the only important thing in life is radical, total, and definitive change. The rest, frankly, has not even the slightest importance. I know this statement might sound a bit harsh or strong for some of us, but we will see that in the end, we're trying to practice or follow a spiritual path which is serious, which is looking for the liberation of the consciousness, right? We will be seeing that we are so identified with the physical world, with many aspects of the physical world, that we do not notice what is important behind that, right? the purpose of the whole existence. So this type of meditation wants to deal with more transcendental aspects of our lives, right? Um, so, for instance, we want to transform ourselves. We want to transmute our mind, just like the alchemists said that they transmuted certain metals, the sulfur, into gold. We're looking for the same, but not in a physical way, but more in a mental, or let's say in our psyche and in our inner worlds, right? Which we find the emotions, the desires, thoughts, ideas, everything related, all the ideas that we are attached to in an unconscious way. That's what we're trying to transform, because those ideas that everything comes like from the mind, just like the mentalism principle says, everything becomes first everything comes first from the mind, the emotions, and then it becomes external and then becomes an action in the external world. So we want to modify many aspects of us that we are um, regarding as not very conscious, which has brought us troubles or problems in some times of our lives. Okay, so that's why we say it is important to really look for a radical change, a definitive change. Meditation becomes fundamental when we sincerely want such a change. In no way do we wish for irrelevant, superficial, and vain meditation. So what I was saying at the beginning is this. There are many types of meditations, different purposes as well, different schools or say teachings have created different types of meditations depending on the specific purpose that they may carry with them. But um, just to be very clear, we do not want to just learn how to meditate just to sit in front, I don't know, of a nice place, or pretending in our minds to be in a nice place and imagine like this wave and sounds and lights and nature and things around, or the sound of the water, like imagining these things just to kind of um, remove the negative emotions or remove the negative aspects that we may be um, feeling or going through in certain situations of our lives. That's like just hiding from them. But we're here looking at like a more direct way to face those problems in a retrospective, introspective way. That means to look within ourselves, because we know that all the answers are within ourselves. It's just that we are not able to see them, we're not able to hear them, because our ego has trapped like so many amounts of consciousness that now it is so hard for us to see through that veil. It's like a veil that doesn't let us see what is real behind all those things that happen to us. So that's why we're looking here for a relevant, not irrelevant. We're looking for a very profound, deep, and transcendental meditation, right? So we need to become serious and leave aside so many trifles and foolishness found in so many cheap pseudo-esotericism schools or cheap pseudo-occultism. I know this also sounds kind of strong for some of us, but it's real. There are many schools that are even charging for teaching meditation, charging for teaching you ways on how to achieve self-realization, which is what we're looking for. But not the money of the world can pay for that, because that has no price. And that's a teaching, that's ancient teachings that have been um, like passed by generations, right? The knowledge was hidden at some time because there was a terrible persecution against the practitioners of these ancient teachings, right? For instance, we know the most the most prominent case of this is like the Inquisition, right? So at that time, um, holding certain beliefs and onto some certain beliefs, or um, practicing certain things that were not supposed to be the teachings of the Catholic Church at that time, that was enough just to set fire on people and kill them, and treat them as witches, as wizards, and like, you know, all the story. So what we're looking here is to be very honest. Yeah, we're teaching this selflessly. We're not looking for any money, any retributions, more than sharing this knowledge that was given to us in the same way, right? So in the same way that it was given to me or to many other people, that's the same way that we're trying to do it, right? So in all those schools, you will find people charging money for that, like reading the tarot, the cards, like pretending to know the future, telling you what to do with your life, and even manipulating others. That's not what we're looking for. All this work is only with ourselves. It does not involve other people around us, because we are the ones that want to learn how to transform ourselves in order to transform also the events and the circumstances in the physical world. Because like the correspondence principle says, as again I'm citing the Hermetic principles, as you may find within, right, we also find it outside, right? So as above, so below. So everything is a correspondence. What we have in our inner world, in our innermost, right here, this, not this physical body, but in our mental body, in our emotional side, in our emotional energy, all the desires we hold unconsciously, those ideas we are constantly debating with other people or defending our like way of thinking, even the smallest, the slightest things that we think are not as important, but we still argue and fight with people because of those ideas, right? So all these things really don't let us see what is real, right? And we're trying to transform ourselves. Again, I'm trying to make a lot of emphasis on this. So all these schools, they just want to um, become like masters, although they even say they're masters, when the initiations and everything regarding the inner world is something that happens in the inner worlds. And you may find it also in the astral realm, in your dreams, right? In the astral experiences. There are lots of messages going on there. And at some point, it is hard for us to see that. And we're just looking maybe for a guru or a teacher that can tell us every single secret of the self-realization, of the best meditation ways, of the best practices to raise the kundalini, right? Of the best practices to open your third eye, right? But remember, we're looking for a specific goal. Powers and faculties are something that comes with the process, but it's not the main goal, right? What we were supposed to be doing in this physical realm, we all of us forgot about it, because it's been like so long, like a long time ago, since we have been coming to earth in this samsara wheel cycles. We're like coming back, and then we have another physical body, and we forget everything that we learned in our past life. Okay, it's very related to that. Okay, so these schools do not take that into account. They just want power. They just want to influence others' decisions, others' free will, right? We do not want to do that. We're just delivering teachings for you to practice them and witness them, like to really see that we're seeing things that are real, not inventions. And this has been they have been teachings given by masters before like many centuries and years ago. Okay, so we have to be careful with that, because nowadays there's like a lot of schools around every single belief system, and they're also telling you like we have the truth, we have the key to success, we have the key to achieve what you want, we have the key for liberation, right? But we have an inner master within ourselves, which is our real self. But like our state of consciousness right now is like not really good at all. It is really hard for us to connect with that source of infinite knowledge. That's why we're looking for masters outside to tell us what to do, what path to follow, and what not to do. So be careful with that. We must learn to become serious. We must know how to change if we really do not want to fail in the esoteric work, right? So to become serious is to really start practicing, right? We may read many books, we might know a lot, or might be knowledgeable people, but in the end, if we do it, if we prove it, we will test if it's real or not, right? So practice is the key. That's all. And we must know how to change, because change comes from many like tries and errors, and trying one more time and one more time, and be persistent, right? In our objective, we have an objective and we need to follow it no matter what. Circumstances might be hard. For instance, nowadays you see that we're facing all this situation. It's like a worldwide situation right now with the coronavirus and many other things that are to come, right? Because we're now living in this last years of the Kali Yuga. It's not easy, we know that, and there are many things that we still need to face, but we need to have courage and keep following the path, you know. So if we want to fail in this work, we really need to become serious about it and see what are the things that we need to transform. He who does not know how to meditate, he who is superficial, ignorant, will never be able to dissolve the ego. He will always be an impotent driftwood in the tumultuous sea of life. So for instance, if you see the driftwood, it's been taken in any directions, like being hit by every single rock around, and even it's fallen down from a cliff. That's a lot of suffering right now. That's like our current state. Yeah. So because of our lack of consciousness, we're like driftwoods taken by the sea of life, and that a stream of water is taking us, which is life, is taking us everywhere, going around, hitting us with this, with that, and that's pain. That's when we feel pain with the different situations we have because of the lack of wisdom to face those situations. Okay. A defect that has been discovered in the field of practical life must be profoundly comprehended by means of the technique of meditation. So if you're practicing the tools that we've been giving you, for instance, self-observation, is one of the keys to start this work, you see. So after working on self-observation, then you will go into the psychological depth, right? Which is also another practice that we already taught you. And at that point, when we are able to discover those psychological aggregates in our physical world, for instance, I don't know, writing an essay, or I am working on something, or maybe just, I don't know, brushing my teeth, and at some point I can perceive thoughts popping up in my mind without even knowing why they are there, because you might say, I am doing this, I am performing this action right now. Why am I thinking about this right now? It does not make sense. So you just discover it. Now you observe it, and as you observe it, you can ask your Divine Mother to eliminate that thought, because it's distracting you, it's taking your energy, it's taking your concentration in the present moment, in the time that you are performing that action. So that's what we call it a psychological aggregate. Yeah. So every time that we discover those ones, and if we kind of perceive them at certain times, in certain moments, situations, and with certain people, right? They're like recurrent thoughts, like are coming all the time, and maybe they have even like a schedule, like at certain time I might feel this because I start to remember this event, or there is a memory of someone every time I see this and I feel sad. Okay, so those things are the ones that I'm talking about. You can meditate on them and be able to see beyond that what is causing that suffering, what is causing you to act and feel in that way. The didactic material for meditation is found precisely in the different events or daily circumstances of practical life. This is incontrovertible. So all those events that we are facing every day, all those situations that might be positive or negative, pleasant or unpleasant, those are actually giving us that material for meditation, right? Because in the practical life is when we see, we perceive how our psychology is reacting to those events. How are we behaving? What are we feeling towards it? What are we thinking about it? Are we able to perceive those like super fast thoughts that are coming? And I call them like a threat. They're like a threat because it's not only one. There are so many, like one after another one and one after the other, right? And that's crazy because we think that we are concentrated on something, but in fact we're not. We're not concentrated. Our mind is completely dispersed, and we think it's normal, right? We think it's normal. But right now, especially our intellectual center or energy is being overused. Yeah, so that's why overthinking is becoming right now something natural for everyone and everybody. And you can ask every single person to do this, and they will be able to see that they're not actually being aware of what they're doing. That's why we say that that's like acting mechanically, like robots. Like there is a program running there, like it's the ego. The ego is like a program running into a computer or a machine, which is us, and we are programmed with that. But we can uninstall that program, let's say, which is fighting the ego, to go against that, to start transforming ourselves from within as to go without. You see? People always protest about unpleasant events. They never see the usefulness of such events. But instead of protesting against unpleasant circumstances, we should extract from them, through meditation, the useful elements for our spiritual growth. Right? So this is also a tendency nowadays, like it's so common right now. I would say like many more people are going into this way of reacting and perceiving things going on, like just protesting and just like complaining about the things that are happening to them. And it's easy to judge people by those behaviors, but we ourselves actually do it all the time, right? When there's something happening and maybe we were planning something and things didn't took place the way we wanted them, and they ended up being different, right? We had no control over that. So that predisposition to those circumstances makes us feel frustration. So then we will start to complain about it with people, and I will start like showing myself like maybe like a victim in front of others. And I'm not saying this because of maybe I heard someone doing this and maybe my friend or someone else. No, many people do that, and I have noticed that, yeah, including myself and even others uh, who are not in this like path, but still I was able to observe it, and I was like, wow, this is not good. This is not helping. Actually, that's one of the things that makes us lower our, like, let's say it in more like metaphysics, these terms are used by metaphysics, our vibration gets lower, right? So instead of being higher, it's lower. Complaining creates that effect, which is really bad. And meditation is really, really, really essential in those situations so that we are able to see beyond that perception of like a negative event, or like why is this happening to me, or like seeing myself always like a victim, like that self-pity, which is always putting us back in our spiritual growth. In-depth meditation about this or that pleasant or unpleasant circumstance allows us to feel in ourselves the taste, the result. It is necessary to make a full psychological distinction or differentiate between that which is the state of the work, the inner work, or the taste of life. What we call the taste, it's a term that is sometimes a little bit hard to explain, but it is like that feeling that you have when you're working towards your consciousness, when you are able to live in the instant present moment, when you're observing your mind, when you observe your emotions, right? When you see that everything is going on around may affect you, but you immediately block every reaction you may have towards that, right? It's like being in control of your inner world, right? So that taste, that's what we call the taste. So we were practicing, we're self-observing ourselves. We are being disciplined with this. We are, for instance, we will be teaching you more practices later, practices that are really good for concentration as well. So when you're trying to focus, especially your mind, which is now what is like heading us toward the wrong direction, like the whole, I'm speaking like a worldwide circumstance, like something that is happening to everyone nowadays. It's like our mind is just making us like really like crazy, you see? Yeah. So yeah, that's what I mean with this. That's the taste. When you practice, when you know you can observe things that are not you, because you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you created them, but we need to transmute them, transform them, okay? So that's the taste of the work. We're gonna still talk about this. So in any case, for us to feel the taste of the work within ourselves, a total inversion of the attitude with which they normally take the circumstances of existence is required. Nobody could enjoy the taste of work as long as he or she makes the mistake of identifying with the diverse events. So it is said that our consciousness falls asleep at the moment that we get identified with an external event. Yeah. So the external event might be, as I said before, might be something that we see positive, or we can see as negative. It can be both. It has the polarity, right? But to really find the work of the taste requires effort. Yeah. And that effort is not like making like huge physical efforts in which we are like using a lot of physical energy. No, all that effort comes from within. Yeah, to have that, let's say like the attitude, the will. Yeah, that's a very important word here. The will to really see what is going on within yourself, not only observing the external world, but also observing your internal world, right? That requires will. And when we say that it's a total, when we feel the taste of work within a total inversion of the attitude is required, we try to say that we have certain attitude toward the daily events. We act mechanically, we react mechanically, we do not know how to stop that reaction that takes place, right? And we need to like really make like a complete let's say like a spin of the wheel in the way we perceive things, right? Like make a complete change in the way we perceive things, physically, externally, and then also within. Yeah. And obviously if a person is constantly identified with the anger, it's identified with the argument with the neighbor, it's identified with I don't know, feeling depression or envy or jealousy with her or his couple, all those negative aspects, especially the negative or feeling greedy, jealousy, envious, greedy, hatred, all those like negative emotions usually take away our consciousness in a way that we do not know. Like it's impressive the way they really makes us fall asleep, and our consciousness falls asleep, and then we're not able to see the root of that event. See, like to find the reason why the event took place, because it was our fault. We created that event, but we could not see it. We cannot see it when we're identified. It's like we're wearing like a veil in our face, and we are not able to see it. We're not able to go beyond that. Certainly, identification prevents us appropriate psychological appreciation of the events. When one identifies with this or that event, one can in no way extract from it the useful elements for self-discovery and inner growth of the consciousness. As I said before, identification prevents us from really perceiving what is objective and subjective. When we're identified, we see like all the circumstances that are taking place in a very subjective way. How I explain this is we see things through the eyes of the defect, through the eyes of the ego, right? If for instance, my defect or my eye of anger and wrath is taking place at that time, it's like I am feeling that. I'm feeling like a lot of anger. Yeah, it's becoming wrath. And I want to fight, I want to scream, shout, I want to punch the person in the face. Yeah, anger is taking over me, right? So I am super identified with that problem, yeah? So I am always blaming the other. I always see things in a very narrow way, yeah? And again, the veil in the face, because I do not see what is going on within myself, but I just see externally, but not beyond that. So I am perceiving the event with the eyes, or the way that the defect is facing that, or like is seeing to that event, looking at the event with the eyes of the ego. So I'm not really being conscious at that moment. So identification is completely taking away the consciousness at that time. It's making it fall asleep completely, right? So that's why it is so important to self-discover all those different elements that are living within. Now we go to the opposite side, the taste of life. We were talking about the taste of the work, which is being able to observe ourselves, observe the physical world, the internal world, and see the correspondence of my internal state and the events taking place, if they correspond, if maybe I am not acting very consciously at that time and I'm just being led by my negative emotions, right? So the taste of life is the opposite of the taste of work. So the esoteric laborer who falls into the identification after having lost his guard, because that guard is when we were trying to like being very vigilant and try to see things in an objective way. Once again, this person will have the taste of life instead of the taste of work. So when identification takes place, yeah, we can say that definitely we are identified. Yeah. So this indicates that the previously inverted psychological attitude has returned to its state of identification. Oh my, there's my little kitty here. She wants to be here. All right. So yeah, we were inverting our psychological state, yeah, or attitude. When we were trying to observe how I'm reacting to this, I am feeling self-pity for myself, I am always blaming the others, I consider myself always as fair and good, but the others are not with me, right? All that chatter, because that's like an internal chatter that we have with our own ego in our mind, yeah, that's what is also contributing to feel this identification, right? So when we're not able to see that, to see those elements from the ego taking place, then we are identified. Any unpleasant circumstance must be reconstructed by means of conscious imagination through the technique of meditation. So when we're talking about conscious imagination here, is the opposite to what people think about imagination nowadays. Nowadays, imagination is also like being overused, let's say, right? So, for instance, you ask kids to create or invent a story, and they might tell you things that are like super weird and taken from, I don't know, somewhere from their minds, and they end up in like crazy anecdotes and stories, right? So the imagination is always is also being taken away from the consciousness. When we say conscious imagination, is because we are the ones in charge of, let's say, controlling that imagination. What we want to see, it will be shown to us. What we want to recreate, we will be able to see it. But as it is acting mechanically, like everything in our psychology, you might say that you want to practice certain meditation, and you need to imagine like for instance, your root chakra spinning around. And then you see the petals of the flower of the chakra, and then you have to see a symbol in the middle, for instance a Sanskrit. Will you be able to imagine that? Or maybe your mind will unconsciously start imagining other stuff. That's what I'm talking about. So the imagination at that point right now is by itself, it's like it has its own personality, is creating images unconsciously. So when we want to practice certain techniques that we're going to show you or teach you later, for instance, there's a practice with intuition that deals with our heart chakra, with the Anahata chakra. You have to imagine the chakra, yeah, spinning around, the symbols, the petals, the colors. But your mind is all the time showing you images and things or memories and things that have nothing to do with that, right? And then the imagination just becomes a very different thing, right? Becomes like a memory, like that, as I said before, that computer program that you have installed in your mind, in your psyche, starts running mechanically, and then when you try to go against that, it's like super difficult. Not impossible, but it takes time and practice. So that's what conscious and not conscious imagination is. That's the difference. And it is very necessary for this practice of meditation. So the reconstruction of any scene allows us to verify for ourselves, and in a direct way, the intervention of several participating eyes or defects, psychological defects. So, for example, there is a scene of romantic jealousy. In it intervene eyes or defects of wrath, jealousy, and hatred. So you may see in the picture here. So maybe there's a couple, and maybe another friend comes and she says hi, and then he kind of distances himself from his girlfriend and starts talking to the little girl, and then the other, like the girlfriend, in fact, starts imagining things in her mind, like chatter in her mind, like, oh, why is he talking to her like that? Why is he so nice to her? She's not really nice. I don't like her. All that chatter starts popping in your head, and then it is really hard to see the objective in that event. You start imagining things that are not real. You start imagining things that your psychology, your psyche, has like programmed, has been programmed from before. So then comes the argument between the girlfriend and the boyfriend, because she was imagining things that were not real, right? This is an example. Oops. All right. Comprehending each of these eyes, each of these factors, implies in fact profound reflection, concentration, meditation. The common tendency to blame others is an obstacle that prevents us from comprehending our own mistakes. As I said before, self-pity has a lot to do with that, because we always perceive ourselves like the victims in every situation, and we blame the others because we're not observing ourselves. We're not self-observing our mind, our inner world. Unfortunately, destroying within ourselves the tendency to blame others is a very difficult task. In the name of truth, we have to say that only we're to blame for the diverse and pleasant circumstances of life. You see? So as the picture shows, it's like a really nice saying that I heard once. When you're pointing at someone and blaming that person with your index finger, look at how many I am having in front of me, right? 3 more. So I am actually pointing at that person, but in fact I am the one who is the one to blame in that circumstance. So, oops, come on, girl, let me here. All right. So yeah, that tendency is pretty strong nowadays. We are right now in times where our overactive psychology is constantly getting into that inner chatter, internal chatter, in which we are always talking with our ego, which sounds crazy, but if you actually observe it, it is like that. You will hear it. And in our mind, we're always blaming, pointing at others. We are criticizing, we are judging others, right? Because we are so identified with our own personality. Because we think that our personality is us, right? The different pleasant or unpleasant events exist with us or without us. and will constantly, continuously repeat themselves mechanically. Taking this principle as a basis, no problem can have a final solution. So problems are of life, and if there was a final solution, life would not be life at all, but rather death. Just think about it. We might think that when we become more conscious, we may not face problems, that our life will be perfect, that I'm not gonna have any negative circumstances come into my life, but it's not like that. Events are going to happen, you want it or not, but it is the correct psychological attitude which shows you that the events are taking place, but you are in control of that because you're reacting in a more conscious way. You see? So life is full of problems, and not all of them will be solved at any point. There will be always one problem coming after another, maybe for certain like cycles of periods of life in which they will come even more than others, but they will still be there, right? So if there was a final solution for all the problems, that would be death. Ah. So there can be a modification of the circumstances and problems, but they will never stop repeating. They will be taking place, wanted or not, and they will never have a final solution. Life is a wheel that turns mechanically with all the pleasant or unpleasant circumstances, which are always recurrent. You see? So, for instance, we have here the picture. You see like a little devil, three little devils, right? So we see the thief, we see killer, and we see the lustful, you see? And as we are turning in that wheel, which is called the samsara wheel, which is in charge of all the cycles of life and death of all the beings in this world, that wheel is spinning around mechanically. It will not stop, right? It will just be spinning around, following that law of returning back to earth, you see? And as one person was acting in certain psychological state and, let's say, like developed a strong sense of it, like a thief, for example, that person will also become a thief in his next lifetime. Yeah, I'm not saying reincarnation because that term is only used for like superior beings, but the return, yeah, when that person returns back to earth, will start looking for very similar behaviors. Sometimes personality doesn't let us act in such ways, but they are there. They are hidden in our unconscious and subconscious minds. We cannot hold the will, as I said. Good or bad circumstances are always processed mechanically, so they take place whenever you want them or not. We can only change our attitude to life's events. That's where our power is. Buddha said that. If we are not able to change the problems, the circumstances, then the power resides in our attitude, in the way we can face the situations. We can face them with anger, we can face them with sadness, we can face them with desperate attitudes, or we can face them just in a calm state, right? With wisdom, in a very different psychological state that we maybe had before. As we learn to extract the material for meditation from the various circumstances of our life, we will begin to self-discover ourselves. In any pleasant or unpleasant circumstance of life, diverse defects or I's exist that must be fully comprehended with the technique of meditation. You see? We talk about the material of the meditation, which is our daily events. So the argument with my parents, maybe the gossip in my workplace, the bad relation with my neighbor. Yeah, I had an argument with a friend. I was planning to do something, but in the end it didn't happened. So all those situations are, remember, the material for our meditation, you see. And it's important to self-discover ourselves. That's like the keystone, like the very beginning of the work, when we start working on meditation in a very introspective way and looking for transformations, right? And the events can be pleasant or unpleasant. I said that before, right? Because that's what life is full of, different circumstances, right? So in those circumstances, in those ways of reacting, in those situations, we need to have our inner eyes open and perceive what is going on within ourselves. And then once we discover them, we can start working with the technique of meditation. So this means that any group of eyes or defects intervening in such dramas or comedies or tragedies of practical life, right? They can be taking place in different events: positive, negative, pleasant, unpleasant, yeah, repetitive or new. After being entirely comprehended, must then be eliminated by the power of the Divine Mother Kundalini. Yeah. So I have talked about the Divine Mother before. Many cultures have pictured them as, let's say, like Mary, like Isis. You see, here in for instance, we're talking about a Sanskrit term Kundalini. For the Hindus, will be Devi Kundalini. Yeah. So, but it's the same divine mother or the same divine feminine principle which we are referring to. Yeah. So she has the strength, the fire, the love, because love is related to fire, the creation. Yeah. So she's that power that is which is able to eliminate all those thoughts, all those emotions, all those feelings, ideas, like fixed concepts that we may have that are making us suffering, right? As we make use of the sense of psychological observation, it will also begin to develop wonderfully, right? As everything we do, practice is necessary in order to develop it. Then we will be able to perceive the eyes during the work of meditation. They will start popping up in our meditation. I mean, the memory of how I perceive that, how I discover it, yeah, how it's related with the situation. And is it interesting to internally perceive the eyes, not only before them having been worked upon, but also during the work, the whole work. Not only before them having been worked. I want to really emphasize that. But yeah, it is really interesting to see that in your own self, right? In your inner world, to be able to see that, to perceive it, yes, before you have even worked on that. That's something that you might understand if you start working with this technique. When these eyes are decapitated, eliminated, or disintegrated, we feel a great relief, like a great happiness. So let's go to the practice. That was the conceptualization, like let's say like the theoretical part of the conference. But now let's go to the practice. So the practice has 8 steps here. We're gonna have first to find a quiet place. So we will find ourselves in a nice quiet place. Yeah. Then we will chant the Bellarine and the magic circle conjurations, which we taught you also in conference 7. You can watch in the video if you don't know what I'm talking about. Then, well, these are protections, let's say, protections for us. Number 3, we have to make a plea for assistance to the Father and the Divine Mother so that they assist us and accompany us during the meditation. Yeah, so the Mother, for instance, the Divine Mother will give us strength, the force, the will to do it, and the Father will show us through wisdom, through understanding and comprehension. Then we go with the relaxation of the physical body. Yeah, so we're gonna start relaxing our physical body step by step, little by little. We will be starting from our right foot. With our right foot, we'll start like making like a very quick orders to our body, like ordering our body to relax, to calm, to not feel tense. Yeah, so we'll start like right foot, relax, calm, free from tensions, and then we go upwards. Right leg or right knee, feel calm, relax, feel no tensions, and then we start going up. Then we go to the other leg, left foot, again relax, calm, and feel free from tensions, stress, and you might feel it. You will start feeling how the muscles are feeling lighter and like no tension at all in there, in that area. And then you will go upward until we reach our head. Yeah, with every single part of our body, we will be giving those orders to all the parts of the body until we reach the top. Yeah, so we go to right leg, right foot, then we reach the hips, then we go with the left foot, left leg, left knee, the hip, then I will go to my stomach, like the lower part of my stomach, my sexual organs, my belly, yeah, my chest. Then I go with my right arm, my right hand, then the left one, the same, until I reach my head, yeah, and your face as well. In number 5, we recreate a specific scene or event that we want to work on, or maybe that in that event we felt lots of emotions, not really nice emotions. We maybe acted in a very not conscious way, we acted in a wrong way. So we want to work on that and see what happened, what made that event happen, right? So if we are not able to remember, maybe it is a little bit hard to go back to the scene, because that's what we need, the imagination, the conscious imagination here for the recreation of the event, because we need to go back to that moment, try to remember, bring the memories of the event, but not inventing or creating things that did not happen. No, it has to be as it was, not inventing things. So that's why the conscious imagination is so important in this part, you see. And once we start like pulling the memory like from our mind, like what happened, what was the first thing, in which way this person looked at me, what was my reaction when she looked at me like that, did I say something, did I return back the same way, like acted the same way, you know, and maybe I start feeling like tension in my shoulders, and then I was doing this with my hands, and then I felt anger. All of those things you will observe them along the meditation, right? It's important to see all those details. It's not only like I felt anger and I was so angry and I wanted to hit that person and that's it. No, there are many more things coming behind that defect. You see, anger was the big one, but behind it there were little ones that were feeding or like giving strength to that one. So those are the ones we need to discover in the meditation. See, and once we see the connection between all of them, yeah, so if she looked at me in that way, I felt my pride was hurt. I felt that she was looking at me like I was less than her, and maybe then I wanted to feel important, and then I started to treat that person badly because my pride felt like it was being, hurt. Yeah, so all that, we're looking for that, like every single detail coming behind the scene, behind the big defect there. You see, you will be able to observe many things going on there. How little aspects of your psychology were acting behind, like giving fuel to the anger. So when we cannot remember certain parts of the scene, we might use a mantra, which is the Ra-Om, Ga-Om mantra. So you just said like Ra-Om, Ga-Om. Yeah? You repeat it in your mind for a few times, repeat it more, you can do it more. And then if you're concentrated, you will start getting back those parts of the scene. Yeah. All right. So in this point, we're going to number 6, to observe each of the details. So we were able to observe many defects, smaller defects happening behind the anger. So we need to observe those little details, because those little details were the ones that actually helped the bigger one act in the scene. So for instance, the anger. So anger was fueled, or it came up at some point because other little ideas, emotions, thoughts that I held at that time were taking place. They were all mixing together, and then anger happened. It took place. You see, our psyche is very complex, but at the same time, when we're able to see those little parts, you will see like, wow, like this is powerful. You will see it. Okay, so then we go to the part in which we judge oneself. We judge ourselves mercilessly. What I mean is that we're not blaming others. Never. If you're meditating and you're always blaming the others for what happened, that means that you're still identified and you're not being able to observe what is really happening within you, within your inner world. Yeah? So usually our problems are created because of us, because of our mind, because of the way we feel, right? So blaming others is the opposite, and it's not going to help us. It will hold us back in our process, and we're not gonna have like a real growth. So we're gonna judge ourselves. And then when we know that we were acting badly, that we were not very conscious, that we were acting full way, yeah, a silly way, this was not wise, this was not conscious, this was not really nice, I was mean with this person. Well, you judged yourself. And then we go to the final step, in which we are asking our particular Divine Mother to eliminate, disintegrate all of those ideas, concepts, emotions, feelings, perceptions that we had at that moment. All those details, that's what I mean. Yeah, those little details that were taking place behind the anger. So for instance, if I discover self-pity behind the anger, so you'll say like, Divine Mother, please disintegrate, eliminate this self-pity that took place in this situation. Divine Mother, please disintegrate this pride that I felt in this moment. Divine Mother, disintegrate this thought that I was considering myself always to be right and not letting her, like share the way she was feeling because I was judging. So I found another one. So Divine Mother, eliminate, disintegrate this judgment, or like judging this person because this is not conscious, you see, and you will start finding that it's like you're being able to see the guilt that you have within in your subconscious mind, right? Because externally we do not see it, we do not show it, but it's there, right? And it's being able to see the mistake that you didn't act in a proper way, and you created that problem because of the wrong internal state that you were having at that time. That's the purpose. And then you will start understanding like these defects act in certain moments, when this person says this, when certain people act in such way, I react in this way. So you will see it. That's the wisdom that the defect has trapped of the way they act in every situation. So some observations. When recreating the scene, we should not identify with it. So it was an anger, a moment when I felt a lot of anger. I was like, wow, out of control. Need some water. I was out of control, and then I will start feeling the same. No, that's what we're not looking for. We do not want to recreate the scene to feel the same negative emotions. No, it is only to see what happened. Reflection, that's what we need, not identify with the situation. We're not looking for it. So please try not to do it. We're not going to do this. This is not going to help us actually. When we're identifying with the situation, we won't be able to observe ourselves. We should not in any case accept the justification of our defects or nor hide from ourselves, right? So the defects are always just finding justifications for their actions, for the wrong ways. So for instance, if I felt anger, I might be like, oh, I felt anger, yeah, I was maybe not acting nicely, but this person was so mean to me, she was so rude, she was always like this. Yeah, start like justifying your actions and blaming the others. So no, in any case, we need to avoid justifications, okay, from the defects. We will judge ourselves, not the others. Very important, because this is a work that we are doing with our own consciousness, not the other's consciousness. It is important to put ourselves in the other's point of view. So for instance, I went to the restaurant or a cafeteria, and the waiter was maybe angry and irritated and was not very nice, and I instantly start criticizing or judging. This person is so mean, I'm not gonna come back to this place, this is so I don't like it, uncomfortable, whatever. Yeah, so if we put ourselves in the other's point of view, we will maybe be able to find the answer of why that person was acting in such way. So we will see like, this person had a really hard day, or maybe she's sick, or maybe she's going through a difficult time, but she's not actually being mean to me because she wants it to be like that. You see, you will see things in a different way. So you will repeat this practice any chance that you have. Yeah, so the students should always do a reflection of the different details of the day that you had during the day before you go to sleep. Yeah, every night or every day. It's very important because you will see which are the most recurrent defects that are taking place in your daily life. Yeah, so the interested student should not go to bed without reflecting on the different details of the day. That's very important. So in that way, you start creating like a center of gravity, or like a discipline on this path, okay, in this work. Okay, so that was all. I hope that it's clear, I hope that it helps you, I hope that it's useful, and as it says here, meditation is the bread of the wise. As we have our physical food, our physical let's say our physical food, which gives us energy, which gives us strength, right? The same we need with our mind and our spirit. So the food for our spirit will be like the bread, or the spirit will be the meditation. That's the food for our consciousness. Okay, So thank you for watching the conference. I hope it's clear. If you have questions, do not hesitate in writing them. It's very important. It's a very important topic. Okay. So again, thanks for coming. And if you want or have further questions, you can write it in our WhatsApp. And our next conference will be fanaticism and mythomania. Right? Those are very also important aspects to take into account in the work, in the inner work. Right? So, as I said again, if you have further questions, if you want to get more information about this practice or other topics about the work, there is a WhatsApp button in the Facebook fan page, which we can you can access in order to contact us. Okay, so thank you again, and I'll see you next week. Bye.